On the Monday night live stream, I had Logan Zimmerman from Prusa Research talking about 3D printers, filament and resin printers. He went on for about a little bit over 2 hours, going in great detail, explaining from beginning to end how to operate the 3D printers and how to pick them and what filaments and et cetera, et cetera. And another thing, he said that he would do a class on teaching the beginners Tinkercad. And that is the program. It's a free program where you can build your own 3D projects. Now, he did a little bit on the live stream, but it was running, into the 2 hour mark. So we called it a night, but he agreed to hold a class if we could get enough people to join in. So if you are interested in learning Tinkercad, send me an email at workbenchwednesday@gmail.com to let me know you would like to join in. And I'll let Logan know, and we'll set up a time when he could do the presentation. I'm going to show you about some of the clips from the beginning of the live stream. It was, like I said, it was 2 hours long. This is cut down to give you a general idea of what was said. And I'll probably do another one in the next couple of days of a little bit further up into the live stream with some more information. So here's the clips, and I'll talk to you a little bit more after you watch these clips.
If you want to come into this hobby or like a tool set that you can use for your main hobby, then you want to be able to know kind of where to start. And the first thing is, what type of printers do we have? So on our website, you can actually get a free copy of this so that way you can read through it yourself. For the most part, obviously you need a 3D printer. This one right here is called an FDM machine. And this one uses rolls or spools of filament. And you can see here that you have these spools of plastic. They're 1.75 millimeters. That's a pretty basic, like universal, especially in the maker. But this is plastic that's rolled up on a spool, and it's forced through an extruder. There's a little motor here. This is what a blown up diagram of that would look like. The filament comes in through here, and you have a motor with a gear that pushes it through a hot nozzle. If you've ever used a glue gun, you can think about it that way, like how it pushes the hot glue through the nozzle. The strength in which you print, it's not isotropic, which means that it doesn't have the same strength in every direction. When you look at the X and Y for the printing.
Okay, explain which direction is X and which one's Y.
So on the Cartesian printer here, the X is the nozzle moving left to right, and then the Y is the bed moving forward and backwards. And then the Z height is the up and down height, which is, you can see this bar here. So this bar right here is moving up and down. So it's moving the nozzle left and right and up and down, and then the bed moves in and out. And your G code that you have for this model is basically the programming that the slicer gives. So that way all the travel moves, the speeds, everything, the temperatures for what plastic you're using and how hot it needs to get is all done through the G code. So your slicer program will tell it what to do. For the most part, this model isn't as strong in the Z direction, up in height. Now there are ways to give it plenty of strength in your design, and there's little tricks that I can provide here later. Now when it comes to resin, this is isotropic. So now even this little sprue for the ring here, that would actually be pretty difficult to snap. And depending on the resin type, another pro and con, you have different material libraries for FDM and resin and different colors. So you can see here that the resin colors look just a hair washed out, not quite as vibrant. But with the FDM, you can get really vibrant colors, metallic colors. You can add carbon fiber filled filament, wood filled filament. So you can bring different attributes to your build. to sum that up, between resin and FDM, kind of pros and cons. Resin's messier. There's a little bit more of like initial cleanup and processing of your models than there is off of FDM, but they look a little bit nicer for the layer lines. They can print much smaller. So if you're printing N scale, it's hard to print a lot of the smaller N scale stuff on FDM, but you can print them on resin. But if you get to larger scales, FDM saves time, prints larger objects. Something like, I think HO plus would be a better choice in terms of time, strength, rigidity, being able to get your model off the plate with little processing work afterwards, unless you want to paint it certain colors.
Okay, this one, you might cover this later. Is that something you're going to talk about?
Yes. So I will get into creating a model a little bit.
Okay.
And we can breeze through the next part I want to talk about, just so
Alrighty.
people like know kind of what's out there. Because not every FFF printer is identical. They do print very similarly, but there are some pros and cons to different types. And so after we go through that, I'll get into kind of like workflow. So
Okay.
where do you start? Like,
All right, here's another one. Do you know if anyone makes a clear filament? I have been using my resin printers to make these models, but I like the larger item on the filament printer.
yes. So there are lots of clear filaments. Can we be a little interactive? Does it need to be optically transparent, like a window, like you need to see through it? If he can answer back, that'll be fine. If not, I'll cover both sides of that. It's a lot harder to get the transparency for like clear, like seeing through a window on FDM, but there are people who have done a decent job at it. CNC Kitchen is a guy that talks about 3D printing on YouTube and does a lot of experiments, and he's got a wonderful one. Recently he did a cover for this printer here, so you could see the gears on the next extruder spinning, and he used FDM plastic, and he got them decently clear. You can see through them, you can see the gears, but you can still kind of see the layer lines. But if you do 100% infill, mind your temperatures, like you can get something that if you added a clear coat or put some resin on it, you could get it to be clear and see through, but it won't look like a window pane if you need something that's like really clear.
Right now, $200 would be my price range filament printer. Are any of the printers at the price range any good, or should I wait?
So my answer here would be that the closest printer that we have in our lineup is the Mini, and that guy's $452, and it is a workhorse. The thing that's tough is there are plenty of printers out there from Anycubit, Creality, and other various manufacturers that sell a $200 printer. They do work. They are getting better. The problems that I had, because I started off with a $200 printer, is that you don't have as many features, and some of the things matter. So if you have time to tinker with the machine, to set the bed heights and to set the nozzle heights, with used to use a little piece of paper underneath the nozzle after adjusting the bed up and down. There's a lot of pre-setup, and a lot of the springs were inconsistent from the factory. And so what I sacrificed in price, I gave back more than in my own time. I did learn a lot about 3D printing going that route, because I had to fix the machines a lot. I had to do a lot of maintenance. Things would clog, jam. My extruder clip broke that holds the idler bearing that pushes my filament through the boat, and like it just cracked one day, and then the prints weren't coming out right, and it took me a few hours of test prints to like figure out what it could be and go through all the steps. So short answer is like, yes, there are options, but I think depending on what you purchase, there is a little bit of, if you buy at the like low end entry level range, you do have a lot more hands-on. You can still get a quality product out of it. Like, I'm not saying that you can't get quality prints, because you can. It just might take a little more TLC and a little more of your time. As you wait over time, I'd imagine maybe 1-2 years from now, the technologies from the higher end printers filter their way down, and as time goes on, and the more affordable printers start adopting the technologies.
Okay. Last week when we were talking, you said there are kits available also at a reduced price.
So there are. So this guy is the one that has the kit, and it's about $300 less for the kit than it is for the fully built. If you do the kit, it will take about 8 to 10 hours, depending on how savvy you are. Most of that time is in reading the instructions and figuring out what goes where. And if it's your first time with a printer, one of the benefits to doing the kit is that you end up going through all the components in the machine, and you'll know the machine intimately.
All right. I know you'll probably cover this soon. Are there downloadable and shareable files to print items from?
Yes, 100%. We have a website that I'll show briefly, printables.com. So here on printables, I typed in N-scale, and you can see on here there's a repository that just has some models that people have shared. It says the license types on here, so that's good. If you want to do it for your layout and print it for yourself, everything is, for the most part, free. Everything was free, but some of our creators have been doing such a good work in creating so many files for the community. We've given an option for them to create clubs with exclusive files that people can donate or purchase. But for the most part, everything you find on Printables is free.
Now, don't forget, if you'd like to learn Tinkercad, send me an email at workbenchwednesday@gmail.com and let me know that you would like to join in on the learning experience that Logan Zimmerman has agreed to teach model railroaders. So until next time, we'll see you, and have fun with whatever you're doing.